So, Bob Coppage, CEO, Grand Poobah, Simplex IT, and here's my summary of what happened in September. And those of you who noticed, it has been, I'm a little late here. It is actually October 9th when I'm recording this. Hopefully we'll get it out on the 11th. And that's just because we're freaking busy. And there's been a lot of changes that happened in September. And actually a lot of stuff has already happened in October, but I'm saving that for next month. So to kick off, one of the big things that we did internally was we delivered, again internally, our first strategic sales plan. Now, this is essentially a guidebook for us to use in terms of how do we actually develop that whole pipeline of new clients, new business, and all that kind of fun stuff for us to use. And it's been in the works for about 6 or 7 months, part of our overall marketing and sales rebuild that's been going on for about a year. And really, it marks the point where we're kind of done with the reinvention. It's basically started in August of last year, and we're already seeing the benefits. We've already brought on about 5 new clients so far over the past 4 or 5 months. And in October, we've already signed up a new client, and it's been great. And I want to thank and congratulate Patty, Sales and Marketing Director, for leading that charge. It's been really productive and eye-opening, and I think it's going to help us grow even further into the future. One of the other things we had to do, September's the end of Q3, so now we're in the beginning of Q4, which means that we have to put together what are our rocks, or our goals, if you will, but we're part of the EOS system, Entrepreneurial Operating System. And one of the things that we're doing is we are creating what we call Pika 2. And those of you who are aware of Gary Pika, who is one of the gurus of organizational structure for managed service providers, we are kind of taking pages off of his program, which we are members of, and really taking the next step. We did the first big steps with some reorganization last year, the beginning of 2020, and now we're taking the next steps. Now, the neat thing is these are significant changes, but they're changes that are in line with what our goals and objectives were all along. So we're not being forced to make significant course corrections. We're just moving the ball further, and that's really cool. And Kevin over in the tech director, he's the one who's guiding that, and that's going to be interesting. One of the other things that we're doing for Q4, and I can't talk about this too much yet, but is what we're calling the model program. And it's really going to be the first time in almost 12 to 14 years since we started that we're really rebuilding our definition of what are the offerings of our programs from a marketing, from a sales, and most importantly, from a service and delivery. No surprise, a lot of it's going to be circling around security. And we've been adding additional pieces to our cybersecurity offerings for our new and existing clients. But as we've been finding more and more requirements for CMMC, NIST, FIPS, HIPAA, all that kind of fun stuff, we're really getting to the point we're not going to be calling ourselves an MSSP, which is more of a specialized managed service provider. We're not at that point yet. I'm not sure we ever will be. But this will be done and should be public by Q1 of next year. It's going to be interesting. On the personal side, bought a house. My wife Julie and I bought a house in either Talmadge or Tallmadge. I have no idea. I've been told several times, but I don't pay attention. And we're basically going to be moving from this house where I've lived around 26 years in Hudson, and down to a really neat little place. Actually, the house is smaller, the land is bigger, in just a couple of weeks, and that will be interesting. We also theoretically have sold this house, although that sale is pending, and we'll see where that goes. And I actually did get away for about 4 days of just fun. Those of you who know me for many, many years, which aren't many of you actually, which is fine. I love gaming, and this is an example of the board games I used to play. It's actually a solitaire game, but I used to play a ton of strategy and tactics, kind of like think of Risk on steroids. And also I played Dungeons and Dragons, Cthulhu, Traveler, that kind of stuff. And every year I've tried to get away for a few days and just put my geek on and just play those games for several days. And honestly, the rest of the year I don't play them. But this was fun. I'll put a couple of pictures here. Played several miniature games. This was down at the Origins Conference down in Columbus. There was between 8,000 and 10,000 people, which is actually small for that. But they didn't have it last year. And they had it with some very strict rules. And I think they did a fantastic job. It's mostly volunteers. So basically just had 4 days. Still did some work, but mostly just kicked back. Played nonstop games with a lot of great people, and it was a lot of fun. We also had our first actual conference where we were at the D2P conference in John S. Knight Center in Akron, and we haven't gotten the full numbers yet. This actually happened in last week, the beginning of October, so we'll have more details next. But it was very successful, and it was interesting. It was a risk for us because they did not have officially the people that we wanted to talk to, but it was the best opportunity for us to get back out there, and boy, was it worthwhile. And I'll explain why next month. So as we take a look at Q4, we actually have the opportunity to bring several more new clients on board, which we're looking for. We've already had one new client sign up with us this month. And we have a lot more marketing going on. And we do have a webinar this month specifically about Microsoft Secure Score, which is if your organization is using Microsoft 365, Office 365, Windows 365, if you're using it, you should be familiar with, or someone should be familiar with, Microsoft Secure Score. It is a built-in tool with Microsoft 365 that helps your organization make sure that it's properly secured. And it's built in and it's free. And October 21st, Thursday, from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern, people other than me, Kevin, our tech director, and Adam, our security guy, are going to be leading because they actually know what they're talking about. I rarely do. They're actually going to be doing a presentation from 1 to 1:30, and then 1:30 to 2 will be an open discussion where we can share experiences, ask questions, and all that. So, free webinar, RSVP here. Don't have to listen to me. What more could you ask? Really, we're finding ourselves with a whole bunch of projects, a whole bunch of upgrades, some implementations. We're still onboarding new clients, finishing that up. We still would love to talk to you if you're interested in getting some either IT support for your organization or partner with your internal IT. We can do both with the same result and the same value that we bring. Love to talk to you about that. And let's see what the rest of the year brings us.